Good morning, and thank you for joining us for our July webinar. We have a real treat this morning. I know that all of us are managing all of the different challenges that COVID-19 has to bring, and actually it could be a bit much. However, Women of Prince George's wants to make sure that not only do we give you the tools for business, but we also give you the tools to manage situations like this. And I know even for myself, the back and forth with employers, and I work in the hospitality business by day, it can be very, very stressful. However, we all have the power to navigate through this successfully. And someone that is going to assist us with that is Richa Badami. Now, Richa has been with us before. She is a good friend of the Women of Prince George's. She slipped away from this general area and moved to California. And we wish her much success there, but we also are super happy that she is staying connected with us because she has a special connection. She has a special teaching that can support all of us, not only at this time, but just throughout our lives, just in creating that balance. And Richa has a concept that she works with called Power of the Pause. Richa is a spiritual teacher, she's an author, she's a speaker, and she shares inspiration and meditations. What does it mean to pause for power? That is a question that you need to ask yourself. What does it mean to pause for power? The pause is just that. It's stopping to take time to just pause and be in the moment. And our lives and our lifestyles are not conducive to that. You have to schedule that just like you schedule your vacation, like you schedule your kid's dental appointment. You have to schedule time to pause for power. And without further ado, I would like to introduce to you an old friend and a good friend, Miss Richa Badami.
Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you.
Absolutely,
It's
thank
such
you.
an honor to be part of the Women of Prince George's for the longest time. I think from the beginning. I think
Yes, you have.
I've been back about the fifth time.
Yes, and we're celebrating our 10-year anniversary.
Exactly.
And you have been a friend since the very beginning.
Very beginning. And I just want to commend you for doing the work you've been doing and bringing the women together and always being there to hold a space for the women of Prince George's and beyond, to be part of this journey that we find ourselves in today, which is bringing forth more to contend with. So I thank you for the opportunity, and hello everyone, and thank you all for being here as well. Boy, what a time on our planet. We have been going through some significant things, and as Stephanie mentioned, for years now I have been talking about pausing for power and how we must get still in order to access what it is that we truly want and desire, and the state of being and the state of calm that we require to be fully who we are, to have fully what we want, to know what it is that we truly want. All of these awarenesses, all this realization, this awakening comes in a moment of stillness. If you think about times in your life, and if you look back at the moments where you had an epiphany, you had clarity, you knew with laser sharp focus, this is what I want, this is who I am, this is what I need, you can trace it back to a moment where you were still. And you could access that part of you, that piece of you that was not perturbed, that was not messed up or stressed out or in a chaotic state. And the reason you were able to access that and gain the clarity and the calm and the insight and the epiphany was because you made a choice and you got still and you accessed that part of you, that piece of you. Another thing to notice there is that that part and piece of you was never gone. It was always there. It was always ever present in you. You always had access to it. And when you choose to pause, when I choose to pause and get still and allow myself to enter that place, that pause, that's when I access my true power, my true inner power. And that's what the pause for power really means. It's to get to that place of equilibrium, groundedness, centeredness, and access that part of me through which I then can be connected to everything, everything connected to God, connected to spirit, connected to the sky, nature, my relationships, all of it. So welcome to Pause for Power. Welcome, welcome, welcome. The pause, I see it as the eye of the needle. It's just going through, it's sailing through the eye of that needle and entering into a space where you know without a shadow of doubt that who you really are is already in divine order. Who you already are is already in flow. We just have to get off the ramp. I lived in DC for 18 years. So you have to get off that ramp, get off the 95, I-95, and slow down and get to a place where you can pull over and just get still and pause. Because our lives are very stressful, extremely stressful. So let's take a look at where we are right now. And if you have any thoughts, comments, questions, and if you want to contribute to how this session goes, I'm open to receiving questions during this or in the chat window, and Stephanie can help with passing them over to me. Please feel free to comment whenever you feel called, feel drawn to that. So we're in a pandemic. And the thing I want to share is that we have a pandemic within the pandemic. There's another pandemic going on inside of this pandemic that we're already in. And do you know what that is? It's stress, it's toxic stress, and it's trauma. It's trauma. Many of us entered this phase of the pandemic, this period on our planet, with pre-existing conditions. And here's the thing, before we address what's here now, we have to see how we entered into this space. So many people on the planet have entered this period already with pre-existing, childhood trauma, sexual abuse, betrayal trauma, narcissistic relationships and abuse from there, addiction, health, other challenges, financial challenges. It's been just something that we've learned how to cope with, and we learned how to work around, and we learned how to adjust. So I'll take it to a place here right now with you with complete vulnerability and openness and honesty, so I can tell you from my experience what it has been like rather than generalize what it is for you. So I'm someone who experienced childhood sexual abuse at the hands of my father growing up in India. And I did not realize that for decades of my life that I would still have remnants or residue of that trauma. I went into a path of self-care, meditation, yoga, transformation, spiritual growth about 25 years ago. So I've been on this journey for a while. And in my journey, my father and I worked together. We actually, after a period of not being engaged with each other, we actually started to do personal transformation work together. Went through a process with him of transformation and healing and forgiveness and reconciliation. And this has been over 20 years ago that happened, that we went through reconciliation and found peace. And after that, I got married and moved to the US and all of that. But then as an adult, I started experiencing other areas in my life where there were relationships and in my marriage and all over the place, other things that kept coming my way that caused new trauma. Whether it was, upset with my husband, or somebody said something to me at work that was actually even racially not appropriate. Being an Indian woman of color, I faced some of that as well. And in this period of our time, when I entered into this period of the pandemic, as well as after the brutal killing of George Floyd, and everything that has happened with trauma, I went through a period of really going within and assessing what's truly happening for me. And it stirred up some things where there was an awakening and a shift and a primal healing that needed to happen for me. And I was so grateful that in retrospect, in hindsight, that I had access to my tools. I had access to my meditation, my prayer, yoga, chanting, breathing, other things that I do that are practices that I've had for some time that helped me remember who I really am, and that happened a long time ago. It's not who I truly am. I really am connected to spirit. I am connected to nature, to God. Who I am isn't primarily relationship to myself, my God, and then everything else. And that's how my journey has been through this pandemic. And now looking back, I acknowledge that, yes, this period has been re-traumatizing for many. And I can't actually imagine. I guess I could imagine, but I don't really know what it is for every single person. But for those that have come into this period with existing stress and trauma, what that compounding effect might be, and what might be the tools that they have or you have that have helped you in this time, helping you stay centered and sane. And I don't think I can venture to say stress-free, because that's something we all have and have to deal with every day. The question is, how do we come back to the center? How do we come back to getting grounded? How do we come back to knowing that who we are is not our past, is not our circumstance, and yet we still have to contend with the triggers and the traumas that get resurfaced in any stressful situation. And given the situation we're in this day and age, And we really do have to look at that and think about that. And so I wanted to share that aspect with you so you know that I'm not speaking from a platform of, oh, this is what you should do because it's good for you and um, it's um, it's what everybody recommends. It's what the books and it's what the books and the gurus say. No, I'm saying this to you from from my personal experience of being on this path, being on this journey for 25 plus years, and really, like, as my own case study or my own patient zero, really seeing that, wow, if I didn't have these practices, I don't know what my health would be, what my life would be like, what my relationships would be like. Today, my father and I speak regularly and we have a relationship and we inquire into, so how are things right now? How are you feeling? You know, what's it like? And the same with my husband. My husband and I went through a really bad, period for a few years, and we were able to come forth with a greater understanding in our relationship. So even though a meditation practice, a yoga practice, a mindfulness practice might seem like a nice to have, and oh yeah, that would be nice, it's almost, for me, it's my daily vitamin. It's a must have. It's a without it um, without it is when I find myself not being able to manage the stress and prepare myself to have a inner strength, inner power to face the new challenges that might potentially and will potentially come my way. Um, and I know that many of you know this, but there is scientific and medical evidence of stress relating to health, chronic illness. There are I have a lot of information on that, so feel free to reach out to me um, if you want to learn more about that. But in a nutshell, our experiences from childhood, um, called adverse childhood experiences, or it's called the ACE score. If you take this 10-point score, this 10-point test, and if you email me, I'll send you a copy, a link to the test. My email is richa@richabadami.com. It tells you the degree of stress or the adverse childhood experiences that you have, and it tells you what the possibilities are of that toxic stress manifesting into other dysfunctions or chronic illnesses later in your life. Now, it's very rare to score a 10 on that, but some do, many do. More common are the 3, 4, 5. 4 is, I think, the most common number to score on an ACE test. I scored an 8. I scored an 8. So my prognosis, or my sort of was pretty bad. And to see that all sorts of things would go wrong with my life. And the only way, that's the bad news, but the good news is the one way recommended in almost every recommendation I have seen across the board. Now, I'm not a clinician, a psychiatrist, or a psychologist, or researcher. I've studied though. One recommendation that is consistently provided for anyone with even a 1 on their ACE score is to meditate. Meditation is recommended again and again and again and again and again and again. So if you're someone who even scored a 1, which is, that, anyway, I won't go into the ACE test right now, but send me an email and I'll forward that to you. I'm sharing this to say that if we've had any adverse experiences, and most people have had one or more in their childhood, there is a possibility, a susceptibility for things to show up in our life, whether it's related to a behavioral thing, a health related thing, a relationship thing. They show up later on in life. For me, things that happened to me before 18, I thought when I did my work of healing and forgiveness, I was done. But lo and behold, after I had children, new things showed up. Then when my husband and my marriage was like 10 years in, new things showed up, and so on and so forth. So it's an ongoing state of awareness and building upon the awareness you already have. This is a path of growth and transformation and inner awareness, and not it's not about not forgetting who you really are, but more about remembering who you are, because I forget. I'm sure you forget. And there are people you know who forget. If you have children, you know, they forget who they really are. They forget that they are strong, they are powerful, they have they have everything they need inside of them already. You know that when you see it in your children or your best friend or your partner, you see that in others. But we forget sometimes, I forget sometimes who I am and that I have all those things. So when you pause for power, the invitation is to enter into a space of remembering. It's not very different from prayer and meditation in its own way. The pause is a remembering exercise. It's to remember, who am I being? I am here, beginning with just a breath, beginning with just, taking a little moment, just getting comfortable. Oh, can I just, oh, that's it. That's one little pause. That's one pause. It's all it takes is that entering the eye of that needle, just like step in, step in. What's it gonna take to step in? Once the pause becomes a practice, you realize that you are right there. You are at the threshold of a pause at any given moment. It's accessible to you, it's available to you. You can just go in, you can just slide right in. When it becomes a practice, it's easier to do that. For a long time, I didn't have the practice. So it took me many tries to then finally find myself, okay, now I slip in and then I come out and then I go back in and I'm out again. And that's okay. But develop the muscle to enter into that state of inquiry, to enter into that state of pause, to enter into that state of seeing that who I really am has always and always will be a stillness, a presence, connected to spirit, connected to God, to my higher power. It's always been there. So that's the invitation of the pause. So right now, how about we try a little exercise together? And if you have any questions, comments, please feel free to share them with me. And I am more than happy to be here and support you in this practice as well as in this remembering of who you are. Okay, so just wherever you are, just adjust yourself and get comfortable. And I'm going to have a drink of water. Nice warm lemon water. It's just sort of melting into your own body. Just relax. Just feel the stress or strain. Roll your shoulders, in your neck. Just becoming a little bit more aware. This isn't about taking off like a rocket ship into outer space. This is about gentle slowing down. It's like just imagine getting off the ramp. The fact that you're here, you're already off the ramp. Breathe in. Breathe out and with your mouth and just let a little sound. Just allow the breath to guide you deeper within, coming into the folds of your own inner self. Just enter within. You can close your eyes if you like. Gentle, soft closing. And breathing in and out. And listen to those sounds of birds chirping if you can, as I can. Just right outside my door. And allow yourself to be drawn in to that pause, to that space, that invitation, that sacred inner sanctuary of stillness and awareness and quiet. It's a place that's really quiet. Let your breath be the wheels on your vehicle, your mode of transport right now. Every breath, you gently roll in just a little bit more. Just gently coming in closer and closer as this invitation pulls you in just a little bit more. This soft place to land of inner knowing, this sweet intimacy between you and yourself. This safe place, this inner pause. Just continue to take deep breaths in and out. Breathe in for a count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out for a count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just counting in your head. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do that a couple more times, and then add an extra 4 counts. I'm gonna let those birds sing us some music right now. So breathing in for 4 and then pause for 4 at the top of your breath and hold and breathe out for 4 and then pause at the bottom of the breath again for 4 counts. And then do it again. And let's do this cycle a few times. So breathe in, 2, 3, 4. Pause, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. And hold, 2, 3, 4. Repeat. Do another few cycles of this. Just notice anything. And slowly returning to a relaxed breath of inhale and exhale. Just notice anything that's there to notice, whether it's in your body, mind, emotional state. Take your time, gently moving your body just a little bit side to side. Excuse me. And your neck, And your shoulders. And maybe wiggle your toes and your fingers. And blinking your eyes before opening them up wide just a few times. You can keep them closed if you'd like. No rush. A few deep breaths and just relax. Yeah. With every breath, with every pause, with every moment of silence and stillness, you give yourself a gift, a gift to regenerate, to just just come back, to remember that you have this body, you have this tool, you have the breath, the wheels on your vehicle of transport, whether it's a cart or a car or a bus. You have breath to guide you in. And when you get to that place of stillness, and when you access that within, that space within, the big within, that is your entry point, your access point to the infinite, knowing that there is and ever has been, or ever can be, and ever will be. You access that from within you. In that space, asking an empowered question to the self of inquiry is the next movement in this gentle dance of the pause. Because remember, it's like this. It's fluid. You know, when you think of pause, it's not freeze. It's not attention. It's a very relaxed invitation. It's a very in and out, in and out. It's a dance. So as you dance into it, and you come into this space of stillness that becomes now available to you, if you so choose, you can enter into a place of asking yourself some questions of inquiry. And if you would like access to that next piece of the pause, again, please let me know and I can give you those questions and I can guide you into that as well. So we can give ourselves time to first enter and prepare ourselves to come here, to be here, be in this space of stillness, and then ask ourselves a question of empowerment, an empowering, powerful question. The difference between, oh, why me? Why does this happen to me all the time? To asking, who am I being? And why is this happening to me? How have I called this into my experience? Who am I being? And to listen from a place of power as well. This is the power that we access in the pause. And that's what it means to pause for power. Because when you find your true power of being curious, of being an explorer, of discovering this divine self who's perfect in her being, and sure, things are going to happen that are going to be icky and sticky and not a beautiful divine dance. They're going to be messed up sometimes, of course, and every time that happens, can I choose to enter and step into the pause and dance my way into that space of asking myself a question, a powerful question of self-inquiry. How have I called this into my experience? Who am I being? Who am I being now? Who am I being now? Who am I being now? To ask ourselves that question from that space. Because when I'm out there on the highway, on the speed highways, doing my crazy driving, which I've done, and I've gotten a few speeding tickets in my life, not just while driving, but also in my life when I have been unconscious and I have just kept blasting my way through my life unconsciously. Metaphorically, I have gotten some speeding tickets in life. And just like we do on the road to not get a speeding ticket, it's not just a question of not getting caught. It's a question of finding safety, centeredness, and equilibrium. What do? We slow down. We slow down. And that slowing down lets me just gently loving myself rather than giving myself a punishment, a punitive result, whether it's a ticket by a cop or by a, or a life incident that I could have avoided. Now, all of us have had those. There are things we wish we hadn't said. There are people we wish we hadn't encouraged. There are relationships we wish, and on and on and on and on. Slowing down, allowing ourselves to slip into and fall into a loving, intimate space with ourselves, to come into this place of stillness, to pause, and then ask ourselves the powerful question of inquiry and learning from that, maybe journaling right after, growing from that, and then practicing it, because we will forget. We will get out of touch. We will get rusty. And that's okay. Just as your essential self is always, 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 always accessible to you. It is not separate. The pause is right there. The pause is waiting patiently and accessible to you with just one step in. So I hope that was helpful. I hope that was something that you may find useful in your life to practice, not only during this time that we're on in our planet, but always, and to continue to build the muscle. It takes time to build our muscle, just like we have to work out. We have to go to the gym, or we have to go on our walks or exercise or yoga, whatever. It takes time, it takes practice. So to be patient, to give yourself grace, to just allow yourself the time. 1 minute, one breath, 5, 10, 20, whatever. Anything that you can. Your future self thanks you right now for every pause that you choose. And I thank you for choosing to be here and giving me this opportunity to share with you the pause for power. And hi, Stephanie. Do you want me to
Hello.
share the other pieces now, or shall I maybe wait?
Well, I definitely want you to share the other pieces. And personally, I just like to say I am so relaxed right now. And I really do I really do appreciate you sharing with us today. I just feel like, as I said earlier, everyone needs to have these tools to be able to go to. And I just wanted to share a few things that you said. You said, when things get messed up, and they will, we have to know that we can step into the pause and dance and get rid of that, and manage our way out of it. This is a tool that we can use when we're trying to manage those things in our life. And I appreciate you sharing the breathing technique, because I really do think that that is very important, in terms of establishing that balance. I think, also another very important thing that you said was that, empowerment of stillness is a gift. There are times when you need to just take that moment and either treasure the moment that you're in, remember, feel, but you have to know how to slow down and connect with that moment. And you said that breathing is the guide to the power of pause. And that is so very true. We had a couple of questions. One of the questions was, how do you build your inner strength back up? And I know you talked about this being a muscle, something you have to use over and over again. Another person asked for your email address, regarding to that ACE score information. And then another question, I'm trying to just kind of group them together so I don't send too much your way. Cleaning the toxic people out of your life. A person asked, is there a process for that? So that's a few of the questions that we had coming in, and I'd be happy to email you the rest specifically so that, we can get those answered. Or actually, the person who asked the question, if you'd like to email Richa directly, she will give her contact information, and she can definitely work with you on answering your questions one-on-one, which I think would be a great thing to do.
Absolutely. Thank you for those questions. I'll start with the basic one. My email is richa@richabadami.com. So you can, everyone is
And
welcome
we'll
to
post
email
that.
me. And
Yeah, we'll post that
also,
on the
Stephanie,
website
you
too.
can post my link to my calendar. So I'm offering anyone that would like to have a one-on-one conversation with me to get on my calendar for a discovery call. So there's a link that we're going to share right now. You see that link? Okay. So there were two questions. One was about the inner strength, and the other one was about how do we get rid of, if that was the phrase that they used, I'm making that up, of toxic relationships. Was that the?
That was it. That was it.
These two questions are interrelated, so I will try to answer them together actually, because it makes sense. Is that your inner strength, when that is stronger, and when you develop your inner strength, what's going to happen is those toxic relationships are going to be released from your life, because you're going to realize, that who you are is strong, is empowered, is capable of having healthy relationships. Toxic relationships are all, dysfunctional relationships, relationships that are abusive, whether they're emotionally, mentally, or in other ways toxic. We experience those more in our life when we ourselves have in some way allowed that to happen, because of either us not being clear about what it is that we truly want and what it is that we want to create in our life. And so if we take the exercise of the pause, for example, and you enter into a place of inquiry of who am I being, you can learn a lot about yourself. There is a process which, given that we only have a couple minutes here, I won't be able to get into, but in a nutshell, I do want to say that the common denominator in your life, the one that's in relationship with anybody and everybody, whether it's your parents, your significant other, your boss, your children, your neighbors, who's the common denominator in your life? It is you. I am the common denominator across the board, whether it's my finances, my career, my relationship, my children, my community, my faith, whatever. I'm in all of those. I'm the common denominator. For me to create a great relationship with my children, with my husband, with my faith, with my, and on, with my finances, my career, on and on and on and on I can go. I am part of the equation. So how am I building my strength? And my personal experience and journey, and I have also written a book. I published a book called Coming Home to the Heart, which again, write to me or connect with me, and it's on Amazon. Until I did the work I needed to do to clean house internally in my inner knowing of who I am, and release the beliefs, release the past anger, pain, do the work that I had to do to become what I like to call a state of neutrality, which is the stillness and the pause, a state of witnessing, neutrality. Can I be neutral? Because every time I'm emotionally charged by my dad or by my husband or by my children or by somebody who cut me off on the street, if there's an emotional charge, rather than go and catch that charge and go bam, I can see that charge and I can pause. That's an invitation to enter the pause, to step in and dance with it and come into, okay, why did that trigger me right now? Why did that make me? That practice of going back to that place of like, okay, you just said that and I just felt something. It's not about you, it's happening here. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to look at it. It's taken years of study and practice and work. And I think I have realized through this practice that it can be done. It can be done regardless of our circumstance, and we always have access to it. So whoever asked these questions, please pick a time on my calendar. I would love to talk to you more, help you more, guide you more, because the number one antidote to stress, and this is my sort of closing thing that I'm going to say, and then I'll be saying bye, is the number one antidote is connection. The number one antidote to trauma, to abuse, to stress. I mean, think about everything that's happening right now on the planet. The number one antidote to all the stress we have right now is connection. So it is my absolute and humble invitation to you to connect with the community, to connect with those that are committed to your journey, to healing, to transformation, to release, to a place of power. I'm hosting a series in a few months, actually, but I've already started to do some programming and teaching on it, called Freedom from Trauma. And it's going to have about 30, 35, maybe it's getting close to 40 speakers. And we're going to have a global virtual summit on the subject of freedom from trauma. Oh, just so looking forward to it, because I know it's taken me 25 years to sort of summarize that, talk therapy has its place, but it's not enough. Yoga, meditation, chanting, affirmations, law of attraction, I mean, all these things have their place, but just one thing isn't everything. And in this event, I'm bringing together people and experts, authors, teachers from all different modalities and practical tools and profound practices, from all the way from the ancient practices like shamanism to like the most modern research of neuroscience, and how the body and the brain are affected by our biography. Our biography affects our biology, and how all of this is creating sort of like the perfect storm of stress and trauma, anxiety, depression, and the list is on and on and on. And all this, just hear this part, if you hear anything, it all can be reversed. Okay, all of it. That is not your destiny. Your past is not your destiny. I'm here to really, really say that to you today. If there's nothing else, then please just know this. And I hope we will continue to be in touch. I hope I get to see you and continue to be in connection with all of you. And Stephanie, again, thank you for the opportunity, for helping and bringing me in and giving me an opportunity to really come and share in this really tender time on our planet. Thank you so much, and I love you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Richa. We truly, truly appreciate you. Thank you so much, and we look forward to staying in touch. We will have Richa's, all of her links to connect to her and to ask your personal one-on-one questions. Take the time to take care of yourself. Reach out to Richa, and she can provide you with some direction on taking care of yourself. You've got to take care of yourself first. Thank you so much, Richa, and I will definitely be in touch. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.